The next step is going to be putting this together. So when I go to put it together, I'm going to start getting everything tight, and I'm going to create scoring. So make little X's. And if it's fairly soft, you don't have to go too crazy with the scoring. On both sides are good. Take your time. One of the best things to use is a men's hair comb. And the men's hair comb works really well. A fork works well. Now, if you haven't made slip, a lot of people at home don't have slip. It's hard to do it. Just a little vinegar. Yes, kitchen vinegar. This is white vinegar. A little stinky. Sorry about that. But it works beautifully. And you can get away with a little vinegar. And I'm going to start putting it together. And we'll go over how to clean it up and get all the edges smooth. But the acid in the vinegar really helps lock everything together. So remember, the secret is letting your slabs set up. A lot of times I'll make them earlier in the day and then build later. So we're getting this together, getting this nicely. Little things you could use. A lot of people use fancy brayers. You know, a lot of you, if you just go to like the dollar store, might have one of these cheap dollar store paint roller. They can work just as good as a brayer. So I did one side. Let's go and do the other side. Right, the newspaper's holding its shape. This can be a great project to do with the kids. Score, don't forget to score. Scoring does help. But the most important thing is that slip. Either you slip and slip. For those of you who haven't seen my other videos, you should have learned with slabs and slip. You're learning your vocabulary. Slip is just a watered down version of clay. It's usually dry clay that we've broken down. Sometimes we'll take the slurry off the wheel when we're throwing and use that, same thing. Just watered down sort of clay. But vinegar works just as well, works great. And so I'm putting this in, putting it together with vinegar, and this will help hold it together. It's creating this beautiful bond. Now I'm gonna do the back side, make sure it goes together. I'm not a big fan of having a seam. They can open up sometimes. Sometimes I'll put a little piece of clay across it. This time I'm gonna try it. I think this shape will hold really well, but a lot of times I'll put a little, almost like a sewn piece, and I'll actually show you how to do that. It's really nice. We're gonna slip it, get slip everywhere. We're gonna put this together. It should hold because of the side wall seams. And look at this. Now we're getting it all together. So putting that paper in there can be really important. The stiffer you get, the nicer it is. It'll be easier to build. If you're building too soft, it's just gonna flop all over. So it's finding that good leather hard, and we talk about this quite a bit. Hopefully everybody can see, and you can see I have this beautiful lip here that comes across. We're gonna get it a little more even. Level can be nice for this. A lot of times freehanding. Now I'm gonna start showing you some tricks here so you can start building. We have the latch, we have this. One thing that leather has, and a lot of times it's really hard to see in photos, but you'll see a lot of times. I'm gonna bring the purse closer so maybe you can see. There's a little seam in the leather. And this is really something that really helps with trompe l'oeil, making it look good. Is I'll take, especially with a thicker slab, as you get better, you'll be able to go thinner and thinner. And by taking my needle tool and coming across, you can see I split that seam, and it really starts to have a lot more leather effect. And I'm gonna bring it closer. See how that looks? And so it looks like leather, but what really is gonna make it look good is stitching. And there are different tools you could find in your kitchen. Maybe you could roll it across, all sorts of things I use. A lot of times I use a pencil, I'll use a needle tool, any kind of tool you have, and we're gonna start just coming across. And this takes a lot of time. And you wanna go in a straight line. And I'm sorry, there's just no easy way around. The slower you go, the better you do, the nicer it looks. And there's different types of stitching. And I may do one video with a whole bunch of techniques. Sometimes I'll use a pen, and then I'll use something with a little wider, like a little bit of a knife, so that the stitching varies. But the idea is that it should kind of fool the eye at a distance. And if you could see here, I'm gonna bring it closer. See how you got the stitching coming in? Isn't that great? So we're gonna have some of the stitching coming in. And Just take your time. I'm not gonna go too crazy with all the stitching. I'm just gonna finish this section and then go on to the next one, which will be putting some of the emblems on and things like that. Okay, be right back.